Pretending to be rich made me rich. I wasn't born into money. My dad was a factory worker. My mom taught school. We lived in a small Midwest town where people drove pickup trucks until the wheels fell off and thought retirement savings meant a coffee can of cash under the bed. Nobody around me had ever flown first class, let alone talked about wealth building. In my early 20s, I worked long hours at a hardware store. I stocked shelves, cut keys, and carried lumber out to trucks. It was honest work, but deep down, I knew it wasn't where I was supposed to end up. The problem was, I didn't know how to get out. That's when my friend Dave kept bugging me about this book called The Secret. "Man, this will change your life," he'd say, shoving it into my hands like it was the Bible. I rolled my eyes every time. Visualization, manifestation, please. I believed in hard work and results, not wishing on the universe. He didn't stop. One day he dropped a DVD of the movie on my kitchen table. "Just watch it," he said. For months it collected dust. Then one night, after he asked me for the 100th time, I finally popped it in. Within 5 minutes, there was a guy imagining a Ferrari, and then poof, a Ferrari appeared. Then he imagined an elephant, and one came crashing through the roof. I ejected the disc, grabbed my phone, and called Dave. "This is ridiculous," I said. "I'm trying to build a business, not watch circus animals fall from the ceiling. Don't waste my time with this garbage." He laughed, but he didn't argue. Instead, he said something I'll never forget. "Testing it is free. You've got nothing to lose." That line stuck. Free, no risk. Just try it, playing a new role. So I decided to experiment. Instead of saying, "I want to be rich," I began saying, "I am rich. I feel rich." But I didn't stop there. I wanted to see what would happen if I actually lived as if it were true. So I drove out to high-end neighborhoods and toured million-dollar homes. Realtors would ask, "Are you looking to buy?" I'd nod and say, "Just exploring my options." I walked into luxury car dealerships and test drove vehicles that cost more than my parents' house. I strolled through jewelry stores, trying on Rolexes, while clerks polished glass cases with white gloves. At first it felt fake, like I was wearing someone else's clothes. But the more I did it, the more natural it became. My posture changed, my voice changed, my energy changed. I wasn't chasing wealth anymore. I was stepping into the identity of someone who already had it. The breakthrough opportunity. One evening at a networking event in Chicago, I struck up a conversation with an older man named Richard. He was sharp, mid-60s, dressed in a navy suit with the kind of quiet confidence you can't fake. We got to talking and he asked what I did. I almost said, "I'm just getting by." But instead I straightened my shoulders and said, "I'm in the logistics and recycling space." He raised an eyebrow. "Really? Do you have any contacts in Asia?" "I've got a lead on recycled rubber and steel. Huge demand. Could be millions if we find the right buyers." Did I have contacts in Asia? Not a single one. But Richard Branson's famous quote echoed in my head, "Say yes, then figure it out later." So I said yes. That single word cracked open a door I never thought I'd walk through. Saying yes before you're ready. I went home and spent nights digging into research. I learned that recycled tires weren't just junk, they were a gold mine of rubber, steel, and fiber. I discovered equipment that could break them down and markets that were desperate for supply. Piece by piece, I stitched together knowledge I didn't have a week earlier. And slowly, I started connecting with people who could help me execute. Eventually, Richard and I had to fly overseas to negotiate a deal. He booked a business class ticket. "You booked yours yet?" he asked casually. I'd never flown business in my life. I checked the prices and nearly choked. My instinct screamed, "Play it safe, buy economy, save your money." But then I remembered, pretend to be rich, live as if. So I pulled out my credit card, swallowed my fear, and bought the business class ticket. The next day, guilt ate at me. What had I done? I was already stretched thin. I called my mentor and said, "I think I made a huge mistake." He replied with something that shifted everything. The action was right, the vibration was wrong. You bought the ticket, but you felt fear instead of certainty. If you want this to work, your belief has to match your action. That's when I understood. It wasn't about faking it, it was about aligning with it. I had to step into the vibration fully, not halfway. So when I boarded that plane, I didn't feel like a fraud in seat 4A. I felt like a man who belonged there. The payoff. We closed the deal overseas. Contracts were signed. But as any business person knows, signed papers don't always equal money in the bank. For 5 months I waited. I kept doing the practices. I kept playing rich. Then came the day I walked into my bank and asked for a statement. The teller slid the paper across the counter. I looked down. Commas, zeros, more than I'd ever seen in my life. $15 million. I checked the name 3 times to make sure it was mine. My hands shook. I laughed. I almost cried. It felt unreal, yet undeniable. In that moment, everything I once mocked about visualization and acting as if hit me like a wave. The elephant falling through the roof made sense. I had pretended, and the pretending became real. What I learned. Looking back, I realized wealth wasn't about luck or even just hard work. It was about I had to see myself as wealthy before anyone else did. Saying yes before I was ready forced me to grow into the role. Belief and action had to match. Fear couldn't live where faith was building. The more I stretched, the more I could handle. At first, a 10-0 risk terrified me. Later, I could move millions without blinking. Pretending to be rich wasn't childish play, it was training. Training for the life I wanted until I was strong enough to carry it. I didn't get rich because I had the perfect plan. I got rich because I acted like the man who already had what I wanted, and eventually reality caught up. If you're waiting for the right time to start believing in yourself, stop waiting. Live it now. Walk it now, speak it now, because the truth is, you don't attract what you want, you attract what you are. If you want to speed up this shift, I dropped something powerful in the pinned comment. It's the shortcut I wish I had when I was starting out.